The Olympics are over. Franz Wagner coming home without a medal and maybe a bit of disappointment. Why that is part of the process. It's time for Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is August 12th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we put a bow on the Olympics as Germany falls to Serbia in the bronze medal game. Why that loss is as much a part of the process as Germany winning the World Cup for Franz Wagner and for the Orlando Magic. Lessons we can learn from Germany falling short, plus more lessons from Paris. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. It did not take very much. You could have just looked at the photos from the post-game, from the immediate aftermath and the immediate end of the game on Saturday morning as Serbia defeated Germany by 10 points in a game that was never really close. Serbia took control early, never really let go. Germany just frankly ran out of gas to finish fourth in this Olympics. And undoubtedly that was a disappointment. You could see it on the faces and the frustration on the faces of all the German players, but frankly, especially Franz Wagner. He definitely had the look of a player who was trying to figure out what else he needed to do. And feeling like, and maybe he would say this, maybe he didn't say this, maybe he did say this, feeling like a player who felt like he let his team down. And honestly, I could only describe the look that I saw on Franz's face at the end of the game. Maybe not as devastated, frankly, as the look he had after Game 7. But it was definitely that kind of forlorn look of, I gave everything I had, and it wasn't enough. This is a feeling we are going to get used to. Hopefully we're not used to it for too long. But this is a feeling that is normal. It is natural. It is an important part of what this Magic team, what these young players especially, are going to experience. Every season does not end in a championship. In fact, very few of them do. Every end of, whether it's an international tournament or the Orlando Magic season, is going to end probably on a down note, on a loss, to be perfectly honest. It's going to end with us sitting there thinking and asking the question, what more can this team do? What more does this team have to do? What more do our players have to do? No one is giving up on Franz Wagner. And frankly, I really liked what Franz did in Saturday's game. I was very critical of Franz after the way he played against France in the semifinals, even though France played really good defense on him and Franz was making the right plays. I wanted to see him make sure he stayed involved and stayed assertive because his team needed that from him. And while Franz did not shoot the ball well in Saturday's game, he never lost his aggression. If we're going to rank these last three games, these last three elimination losses from Franz Wagner, I would go with the game he had Saturday as the best of the three. If the point of all this is to learn lessons, is to take these disappointments, take these defeats, and come back better, frankly, Franz has done that on all three of these counts. We'll talk lessons from Paris in a minute, but our biggest takeaway should be Franz Wagner is a better player today than he was May 5th. Franz Wagner is a better player trying to understand what his team needs and delivering what his team needs. He may have a bad game, but we'll never have a 1 for 15 game again. Franz learned his lesson and got better for it. But ultimately, this is a results business. There is a winner and a loser. There are trophies handed out. And for a German team that not only beat Serbia last year in the World Cup, granted, Serbia without Nikola Jokic, but won the World Cup last year. For a Germany team, a year later, to walk out of the Paris Olympics without a medal, that is disappointing. And that's the reality of this sport. At the highest levels, there is only one winner every time out. The Boston Celtics are dancing still. They're the ones with the trophy and the trophy case. The Dallas Mavericks, the Indiana Pacers, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Philadelphia 76ers, the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Orlando Magic, the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the LA Clippers, they all had to spend their offseason stewing and thinking, how are we going to get better? And for young teams like the Pacers, like the Magic, like the Thunder, for these young teams, learning how to deal with and respond to that disappointment is part of their process. Look no further than the Celtics. The Celtics have been to the conference finals for so many years. And for so long, people wondered, can the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown pairing work? Is that team ever going to get to the next level? They learned. They got there. And yeah, franchise made some moves that maybe pushed them a little bit further along. They understood something wasn't working. Something wasn't clicking. They needed a little bit of a mix-up. They pushed them out the door and they got there. Now the Magic have to find that too. Now Franz has to find that too, because it's a playoff finish that ended in disappointment. One where Franz, yes, indeed, promised us he would be better. It's an Olympic finish that leaves us wanting more, leaves him wanting more, leaves his team wanting more. And while there will be changes, they'll get a new coach. Who knows if Dennis Schroeder will still be around in 4 years. Isaiah Hartenstein will surely be joining the team in 4 years. Tristan da Silva will probably be on that team in 4 years. At the end of the day, Franz has got to be the one that gets better. He's got to be the one that internalizes this disappointment and tries to figure out, what do I need to do to be better the next time? What do I need to change this outcome? Because frankly, Franz Wagner is the most important player on Germany now. He is the star. All second team Olympics, according to FIBA.com. And just like with the Magic, they need him to figure out how to be better. How to internalize these failures is a strong word, but these defeats, these losses, these disappointments, and turn them into fuel to make him better, to deliver the next time he's in those situations. Look, I spent a lot of my weekend being criticized for drawing up this comparison to Game 7. I'm sorry I had to do it. Again, I think Franz is significantly better than his Game 7. I think I said on those podcasts, I watched all his shots in Game 7. I want him taking all those shots. If the Magic are going to go down, I want them going down with their best players, with their hands on the ball, doing the things that they do. Franz missed shots. So what? I can live with missing shots. I can't live with him not taking it, which is what frustrated me about the semifinals on Thursday, even though it was probably the right play for him to do so, and he's perfectly fine otherwise. Disappointment is part of this process. Part of becoming a championship team is failing. Michael Jordan lost to the Detroit Pistons before he could win the championship. Very few players enter the league, very few superstars enter the league and immediately find playoff success. LeBron needed lost in the finals in 2007 before he finally won one with the Heat. This is all part of the process. You fall down and you get back up. This is part of the process too. This tough loss by Germany will make Franz Wagner a better player. Just like Game 7 and that defeat will make this team better too. Not only by telling us and showing us that they can compete at these higher levels, can compete in the playoffs, can be a playoff team, but it showed them we've still got to get better to get there too. It's not just gonna happen. And I want to warn you all this too. While the Magic should have high expectations for themselves, while they should be thinking how we can get to the second round, they absolutely can, by the way. They are good enough to be a home court advantage team. They're good enough to get to the second round. They're good enough to get the conference finals, in my opinion. But falling short of your goals is part of the process too, because it's about how you respond after you fail. That's what champions are made of. And this Magic team is still learning that. And so what Franz Wagner experienced in Paris, what the Magic experienced in Cleveland back in May, that's going to make them better. It might open them up to new failures, to new disappointments, to new things they have to learn. But that's part of being a young team trying to learn and win in this league. And ultimately, while every Magic fan is certainly frustrated and disappointed for Germany and disappointed for Franz, we all wanted him to win. Maybe not beat the U.S., but we all wanted him to win a medal. I was heartbroken that he didn't win a medal. But falling short, disappointment, that's part of growing up. That's part of growing in this sport, growing in this league. And how Franz Wagner responds in 6 weeks when training camp opens will tell us a lot about him and who he is. Obviously, a lot of attention put on Franz Wagner. We'll talk a little bit more about what he taught us or what he showed us in Paris. We'll get to lessons from the Olympics coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With more than 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day. For your next listen, enjoy the Locked On NBA podcast. There is no offseason in the NBA. And if you want the recap from that crazy gold medal game in the Olympics, Locked On NBA is going to give you that and daily basketball analysis from national and local experts in 30 minutes or less. No one keeps you as informed and entertained as Locked On NBA, available on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Obviously, we're now putting the basketballs away. There is pro-ams going on. If you want to watch those highlights are but we are officially now in the countdown to training camp. We'll start talking some training camp stuff probably next week. Schedule's probably coming out this week. I've got some Locked Off Magics planned. But we obviously, let's spend today looking back at the Paris experience and back at what we saw, especially from Franz Wagner in Paris. I want to make this point 100% clear. as much as I am talking about the ways that Franz Wagner fell short in this tournament and how he needs to keep getting better, I want to make this really clear. He was really good. I am so over the moon impressed with the way Franz Wagner got better this summer. And while certainly shooting 20% from three still raises alarms, and I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not an issue. It is a huge issue. Franz got better at what he's already very good at, and that's going to make him a better player. He is stronger, significantly stronger. He was taking contact, running through contact. You know, if he got downhill, it was game over. He was getting a good shot. He was getting to the basket as long as he could get some steam behind him and get downhill. He is significantly better at controlling the pace of the game, controlling and manipulating where his defenders are, especially as he gets downhill, and is an improved passer. I also want to note his rebounding is a lot better, and I will lead this charge all year long. I think Franz Wagner can be an all-defensive team player this year. And that's going to be really hard on this Magic team because Jonathan Isaac, Jalen Suggs, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope will already be pushing for the all-defensive team. I think Franz Wagner is capable of being a defender of that quality. This is a guy who took on a major physical leadership role for this German team. Like Dennis Schroeder may have been the leader as far as a driver and a scorer. Franz Wagner was a leader everywhere else. He really set the physical tone and the aggressive tone for this team. And I think that is so important. Yes, the three-point shooting has to be better. I'm not going to pretend that isn't an issue. I'm not going to pretend that that doesn't matter. But I absolutely loved the way that Franz Wagner played. I absolutely loved what he showed us and how he will continue to get better. It's important to note, and it's important to remember that we're in the Franz Wagner business for the next 6 years. He's got next year, and he signed a 5-year extension. I know it's the NBA. Maybe he doesn't make it through all 6 of those years, but this is still a long-term development project with Franz. And so, yes, the three-point shot not coming around is concerning. It could be something that holds the Magic back still. He still has time to get better at it, and he will get better at it. We know he can be a good three-point shooter. But for now, he is an aggressive driver. He is able to take contact, so maybe he can get to the foul line. That was something he did very well in Saturday's game against Serbia. That's how he scored still a really high number without shooting the ball well. He's 4 for 14, was 8 for 9 from the foul line. That's how he got to his 18 points or whatever it was. He got a lot better. Now, having said that, I think something that I don't think it's a red flag, but something that the Magic do have to be aware of is Franz is still not that natural breakdown scorer. Paolo Banchero is your traditional ISO up scorer, and that's great. You need guys who can do that. Franz isn't quite that. And I think there are a lot of times in this tournament run where Germany needed that, where Germany maybe needed someone beside, especially against France and Serbia in their 2 losses. Germany needed Franz to force the issue a little bit more, to try and kind of create gaps for his teammates. And look, France again, really good job double and triple teaming him. I think France admitted after the game that they were kind of sold out on stopping Franz. They would let Dennis Schroeder do what Dennis Schroeder does. And Schroeder, took them a little bit out of rhythm and I don't think ultimately helped them. Franz being locked out of the game was a big deal. But kind of the point I was making in that game about that game was Franz can't not be involved. He may not shoot the ball well. He may be passing the ball, but he's got to have the ball in his hands. And I think the tendency still for Franz to kind of disappear into the background, his comfort disappearing into the background, that's still something the Magic have to try and break him out of. They have to, trust him to be the guy. And the way the Magic are set up, and again, maybe this is why the Magic didn't go for a point guard, they're going to force him to be on the ball. They're going to force him to make decisions. And so again, one of the reasons why I think the Magic may not be as good as they were last year is because I think that they're still going to they're going to let these players have growing pains. They're going to put Franz in a role that he's maybe not totally comfortable in because that's what they're going to need him to be 2-3 years from now when they are competing for a championship. Or this is the beginnings or the seedlings of what he will be when they're competing for a championship. So they'll go through the growing pains, maybe drop a game or make a game closer than it should have been to let him make those mistakes. Those mistakes are still coming. I think I think it's fair to be critical of this. But again, a lot of players that I know, the way that they work through their summer is they'll add one thing. And it may not be the thing you want them to add, but they will add one thing and then slowly add new parts to their game every year. So instead of adding a three-point shot or improving his three-point shot, Franz Wagner probably spent his offseason improving his strength, improving his finishing ability, improving his ability to finish through contact. That's still going to be helpful. It may not be what the Magic ultimately need to take that next step, but they got time to get him there. They got time for that. They're going to be patient with it. This is still a development outfit, even if we're trying to win. And so Franz overall, again, Franz had a great run in the Olympics. He was second team all Olympics, 18.5 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, which I think is a big, big deal. He still shot 46.6% from the floor and had a 56.1% true shooting percentage, which is good for a volume shooter. 20% from three is concerning, but Franz was there. Franz was absolutely there, and he played exceptionally well. I really like the way that Franz played all tournament long. I think he got significantly better, and I think that he's going to be a better player when he arrives in Orlando in September for training camp. Hopefully, I would love him to take a week off, just kind of be off his feet, relax, recharge the brain a little bit. Then he has a month to get back in the gym and get ready for the season. So there's still time for him to work on some of these things and get better individually now that his team responsibilities are done. And look, he played really well. Again, there are maybe bigger picture things that the Magic are going to need him to be better at to play the role that they're envisioning him playing, but he took steps in that direction nonetheless. I did enjoy watching him play. I was giddy about the things that I saw from him. The big picture stuff may still be in question, but Franz Wagner is a better player today than he was in May. And that's ultimately all you want to see. That's ultimately what you need to see from him. And we'll see how he grows and whether he can knock on the door being an all-star. I think he can. I think we are ending the 20-point per game streak this season. The Magic have not had two players on the same team average 20 points per game since Shaq and Penny in 1996. I think that's ending this year. Franz will be a better player. Paolo will be a better player. And that's going to mean the Magic are probably going to be a better team. We've talked a lot about Franz during these Olympics. What about Mo Wagner? What did we see from him? I'll talk a little bit about Mo coming up here in just a moment. Obviously, we have a lot of attention on Franz Wagner. He got the max contract. He got the attention. He is the important player. Frankly, no offense to the reserve guys. We love our bench crew. We love the depth that the Magic have. We'll talk training camp battles here in the coming days. The bench is the bench. The bench is replaceable. Ultimately, when you get, and frankly, we saw this in the playoffs. When you get to the playoffs, your starters have to play well. And it's not that Franz played poorly in the playoffs. He actually did pretty well. His shooting percentages were down, but he did pretty well outside of Game 7. The Magic need their stars to play better, and Franz was a revelation in this tournament. Like, he opened a lot of eyes. This is the biggest stage he has played on in front of a national audience. Everybody, Dwayne Wade was talking about him endlessly and talking about the Magic endlessly, really, throughout the tournament. The Magic are going to be in front of people this time around. Like, the Magic are now a team to talk about. But we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Mo Wagner. Frankly, Mo Wagner looked like Mo Wagner. The reason why I didn't feel like there was much to say about him is he was doing Mo Wagner things. He rolls hard to the basket. He finishes around the rim. When he misses, he is still active around the basket. He is a pest. He screens really well. He looked like Mo Wagner. The one area I have continued to be impressed with Mo Wagner is how much his defense has gotten better over the last few years. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. When the Magic signed him late in the 2021 season, I did not feel like he was an NBA player anymore. Like, I was so unimpressed with how he played. I was surprised the Magic brought him back. Obviously, he played a lot better in 2022, played again really well in 2023. But even then, I noted in 2023, he had the worst defensive field goal percentage at the rim among essentially rotation centers in the NBA. It was like 75% shooting. He's a charge taker. He's not a shot blocker. So you expect that percentage to be a little bit up, but his defense was something that was concerning, and he scored a lot. I got to give Mo Wagner all of his flowers. He got better defensively in 2024. Obviously not like insanely good. Like, I don't want him starting games, but he had a solid percentage. I think it was like 65% defensive field goal percentage at the rim, according to Second Spectrum. Last year, I came away from his Olympic run and his Olympic experience saying, okay, he's gotten a lot better defensive. He has cemented all those defensive gains. Like, I have no doubt the Magic will get at least the Mo Wagner they got last year. He is crafty around the basket. He's got such a good post-up game. He rolls hard. He's patient. And now he positions himself really well defensively. He understands where to be defensively. He understands he's not blocking shots, so he challenges shots really well. He boxes out. He sets everyone else up to succeed. Ultimately, that's what Mo Wagner is. He's someone who sets everyone else up to succeed. He has taken it upon himself to make one of his biggest weaknesses one of his strengths. And I think that is so big. And that is something that is so huge for him. Again, he's going to be the backup center this year. And I think the Magic trust him in that spot over a guy like Goga Bitadze. Like, again, we didn't see Goga play this year, obviously. Or we did see him a little bit earlier in the summer. He played in the Olympic qualifying tournament with Georgia. Goga has a tendency to kind of fly around a little bit too much and get himself out of position. Mo Wagner's never going to do that. He's going to try and take charges. He's not trying to block shots. And I think the Magic find that valuable. The Magic may need better rim protection in the long run, but Mo does such a good job staying in position and just being physical, and he loves the physicality, and he's all about the team. Showed that again with Germany. Continue to take steps forward. I thought this was a really good tournament for Mo as well. But again, Mo Wagner does Mo Wagner things. Like, I don't have another way to describe it. Like, that's what he does. And so, again, ultimately the Magic know what they're getting from him. Again, I don't think we'll see a regression from Mo this year. I think we'll see the same production, the same kind of play we saw from Mo, maybe a little bit better defense, to be perfectly honest. And if that's the case, then the Magic are going to be in good shape. And Mo is definitely someone to be excited about moving forward. So I really like what we saw from Mo Wagner. I really like what we saw from Franz Wagner as well. And unfortunately, the tournament ended in disappointment for Germany. But that's kind of how this goes. And hopefully Germany will be back and better than ever for Eurobasket next summer. Yes, they will be playing another tournament next summer. Hopefully they'll be back and better than ever for Eurobasket next summer. They'll get the next summer off, then Eurobasket again in 2027 or in 2026. 2025 is Eurobasket. 2027 will be the World Cup, and then 2028 the Los Angeles Olympics. So summer off coming in 2026, but we'll see plenty of these guys continue to get better in their off seasons at these FIBA tournaments. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, follow me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all Filmmaker podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at Philip. You can follow us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub. You could, of course, thank you so much for your support. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA podcast, where the season never ends, providing national expertise with a local perspective. You can find the link to Locked On NBA in the description below, so you don't need to search. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Like I said, we are in off-season mode for the rest of the month, so we're going to 3 episodes per week. I am planning Monday, Wednesday, Friday, unless that's like this. Sorry, I did that. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, unless some breaking news occurs that would want me to come on here, but I'm easing off the throttle a little bit. I'm going to take some time. The Olympics are done. I'm going to take a day tomorrow. Sorry, folks. I'll have some stuff posted, but I'm going to take some time for me here over the next few weeks. But we still got a lot to get to. We're anticipating the NBA schedule will come out this week, so we will talk NBA schedule when it comes out. I'll break down the whole schedule. We'll go game by game. I'll point out the important stretches of the season, what to be upset about, what to like, when the wins are going to come, when the struggles might happen. We'll get to all that. Save it for the end of the season, and I can say I told you so. Like, that was a bad stretch. We knew that was coming. We'll break that all down when the schedule comes out. We're anticipating that will be this week. It's the offseason as well. We're going to go locked off Magic here with a couple Orlando-related items. We'll relate it back to the Magic, don't worry. But we'll hit some items around Central Florida as well. We'll get into some training camp battles. I promise we will talk about next steps in the Magic's rebuild as well. There's still a lot to talk about, but we are scaling back for the offseason. So enjoy the offseason. If it's your first day at school this week, have a great first day of school this week. Have a great first week of school. Lots going on. Basketball will pick back up here very, very soon, but we're going to ease off the throttle, enjoy our offseason a little bit now that the Olympics are over. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.